Imagine building a car that crushes 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds, makes over 500 horsepower, and still costs less than a new Corolla. For $35,000, the N54 and N55 engines turn the BMW 335i into a bona fide budget supercar killer, something Porsche and Mercedes owners never saw coming. But how did these engines, debuting in 2006, unlock this kind of value and performance? Here is how the legend really began. BMW's turbocharged revolution kicked off at the 2006 Geneva Motor Show. That is where the N54 engine made its first public appearance, tucked under the hood of the E90 335i sedan. This was more than just a new powertrain, it was BMW's return to turbocharging after a 20-year hiatus, and it landed right as the market was hungry for a new kind of performance. The N54's 2,979 cubic centimeters inline-six, with its twin parallel turbos, instantly set the 335i apart from the sea of naturally aspirated rivals. Early reviews raved about its torque-rich surge and the way it delivered effortless acceleration, all while keeping emissions in check and fuel economy competitive. Over the next few years, the N54 found its way into a lineup of models that would become enthusiast favorites. Coupes, convertibles, and even the compact 135i all benefited from the same recipe: a robust straight-six, quick-spooling turbos, and a chassis that could handle far more power than factory ratings suggested. The E92 Coupe and E93 Cabriolet followed, each carrying the N54's reputation for punchy mid-range power and surprising tuning headroom. By 2009, BMW introduced a new chapter. The N55 engine arrived as a technical evolution, rolling out first in the 535i and then spreading rapidly through the lineup. Unlike the twin-turbo N54, the N55 used a single twin-scroll turbocharger, integrated valvetronic variable valve lift, and a new approach to fuel injection. The transition did not happen overnight. Some models overlapped with both engines on offer, but by 2010, the N55 was the new standard for the 335i, M135i, and beyond. From 2006 to 2012, these turbocharged inline-six engines powered a wave of performance sedans, coupes, and even the iconic 1M Coupe, each one quietly rewriting what was possible from a mid-priced German car. The buzz in enthusiast circles was unmistakable. These were not just fast BMWs, they were the foundation for a whole new era of affordable, modifiable speed. Next, the story moves under the hood to see what made these engines so different from anything else on the road. Turbocharger layout defines the character of these engines from the inside out. The N54 uses a pair of small parallel turbos, each fed by 3 cylinders and working in concert to deliver boost with barely a hint of lag. This setup creates a surge of mid-range torque that hits as early as 1,800 revolutions per minute and holds strong across the power band. The plumbing is complex and the packaging tight, but the tuning ceiling is high. Stock internals like forged steel rods and a forged crank can handle 600 to 700 wheel horsepower with the right supporting modifications, making the N54 a favorite for big power builds. The N55 takes a different path. BMW replaced the twin turbos with a single, larger twin-scroll unit. Exhaust pulses from 3 cylinders feed each scroll, improving spool and reducing lag, and simplifying the whole system. The switch to a cast-iron crank and rods means less ultimate headroom for extreme builds, but the design is lighter and more efficient for daily use. Peak torques arrives even sooner, around 1,700 revolutions per minute, and the power delivery is smoother thanks to valvetronic variable valve lift. Valvetronic lets the N55 control airflow without relying on a throttle plate, boosting efficiency and emissions compliance, while double VAN-OS variable timing sharpens response across the rev range. Fuel delivery also sets these engines apart. The N54 uses piezoelectric injectors that operate at up to 200 bar, enabling precise, high-volume direct injection ideal for tuning, but they are costly and prone to failure under heavy use. The N55 moves to Bosch solenoid injectors, still direct injection at 200 bar, but with greater long-term reliability and lower cost. Both engines share an 84mm bore and an 89.6mm stroke, with a 10.2:1 compression ratio. The N54's forged internals and twin-turbo plumbing favor high-power, aggressive builds, while the N55's streamlined architecture and valvetronic system offer a balance of efficiency, smoothness, and reliability. These hardware choices are not just technical trivia, they dictate how far you can push each engine and what kind of driving experience you will get when you do. Factory numbers only tell part of the story. When independent dynos started rolling, the N54 and N55 engines consistently outperformed the claims from BMW. A stock N54, rated by the factory at 300 horsepower, routinely put down around 275 horsepower at the rear wheels on a dyno jet, sometimes even higher depending on conditions. That translates to roughly 330 to 340 at the crank once drivetrain losses are factored in. The torque figures were just as impressive, with real-world results showing 300 pound-feet at the wheels and a broad, flat curve that made the car feel strong from 2,000 to 5,000 revolutions per minute. The N55, with its single twin-scroll turbo, came in just behind, typically 266 wheel horsepower and 302 pound-feet of torque in stock form. While the peak numbers were close, the N55 delivered its torque even earlier, making for a smoother, more linear rush up the tachometer. Acceleration times back up the dyno sheets. Stock 335i models equipped with either engine clocked 0 to 60 miles per hour in the mid to high 4-second range, with well-driven examples dipping to 4.6 seconds. Quarter-mile passes landed between 12.9 and 13.2 seconds at trap speeds of 105 to 110 miles per hour. These are numbers that put a used 335i in the same league as much pricier sports cars from its era. For anyone keeping score, the baseline is clear. Both the N54 and N55 deliver more than the brochure promised, and they do it with a composure and consistency that gave tuners a solid foundation for what came next. Reliability isn't just a footnote with the N54 and N55, it's a defining part of the ownership experience, especially for anyone eyeing serious power upgrades. The high-pressure fuel pump, HPFP, stands out as the single most notorious weak point. Early N54s saw widespread HPFP failures, sometimes as early as 40,000 miles. Owners reported long cranks, sudden loss of power, and the dreaded limp mode. BMW issued service bulletins, rolled out warranty extensions, and even faced lawsuits before upgraded pumps finally stabilized the issue. N55s fared a bit better, but from 2010 to 2011 models still saw HPFP failures, just at a lower rate. For anyone planning to run higher boost or E85, an upgraded HPFP isn't optional. It's the first line of defense. Charge pipes are another Achilles heel. Both engines left the factory with plastic charge pipes prone to cracking, especially under elevated boost. A split charge pipe means instant boost loss and limp mode, often leaving drivers stranded. Community forums treat the aluminum charge pipe upgrade as mandatory for any tuned car, and for good reason. The fix is cheap, quick, and eliminates a problem that is nearly guaranteed to show up. The N55's integrated exhaust manifold, cast directly into the cylinder head, improves emissions and turbo response, but it concentrates heat in one spot. Over time, especially with aggressive tuning, this can lead to gasket leaks or, in rare cases, warping and cracking. While not as headline-grabbing as the HPFP saga, it is a real concern for high-mileage or heavily modified cars. The bottom line is simple. Anyone serious about tuning either engine needs to address these failure points up front. Skipping preventive upgrades isn't just risky, it is a recipe for expensive headaches later. Level 1 is the gateway. Here, the recipe is simple. A flash tune, upgraded charge pipe, front-mount intercooler, high-flow downpipes, and a better intake. Most owners spend between $2,500 and $4,500 on these bolt-ons. The payoff is immediate. Wheel horsepower jumps from the stock 260 to 270 range to 320 to 360 on the N54 and just under that on the N55. Torque surges and 0 to 60 times drop to the low 5-second bracket. These are real-world gains, not brochure numbers, and the car is still daily drivable, emissions-friendly in many states, and reliable if you have already addressed the known weak points. Level 2 is where things get serious. Bigger turbos, either upgraded twins for the N54 or a hybrid single for the N55, demands supporting mods, including a high-pressure fuel pump upgrade, larger injectors, a beefier clutch or a transmission tune, and a more robust cooling system. Parts and labor together push the budget to $8,000 to $15,000, but now you are looking at 500 to 600 wheel horsepower. At this stage, 0 to 60 drops below 4 seconds, and quarter-mile times land in the low 11 seconds. The car runs with modern supercars, all in for under $30,000 if you started with a smart donor. Level 3 is the top of the ladder. Forged internals, custom fueling, massive turbos, E85 or race gas, and every supporting mod in the catalog. This is where 700-plus wheel horsepower is possible, but reliability becomes a balancing act. Total spend can hit $35,000, but the result is a true budget supercar, capable of 9-second quarter-mile passes and highway speeds that rival anything short of a hypercar. Each level has a clear path, a defined parts list, and proven results. The only question is how far you want to climb. Breaking down the numbers, a Level 2 N54 or N55 build, donor car, parts, and labor lands around $27,000 to $35,000 for 500 to 600 wheel horsepower. That is about $49 per horsepower, a figure that outpaces even the best value exotics. A used Porsche 911 Carrera, for example, typically runs well over $100 per horsepower by the time you reach similar output. Maintenance costs favor the BMW 2. Annual service and consumables for a 335i build rarely crack $2,000, while most supercars demand 2 to 3 times that just to stay on the road. But the real edge isn't just in the math, it's in the support network. N54tech.com remains the go-to forum for technical deep dives, troubleshooting, and step-by-step build logs. BimmerPost, especially the E90 and E92 sections, offers decades of archived dyno results, vendor reviews, and reliability threads. Vendor support is unmatched. Berger Motorsports for tuning solutions, VRSF and Wagner for intercoolers and downpipes, Pure Turbos for hybrid upgrades, and MHD or BootMod 3 for custom ECU mapping. YouTube channels, detailed DIY guides, and active Discord groups make it possible for first-timers and seasoned builders alike to find help, whether it's a quick fix or a full engine teardown. The collective experience of this community means almost every problem has been solved, every path to power charted, and every dollar accounted for. With the right toolkit, both in parts and people, the N54 and N55 deliver not just supercar speed, but a blueprint for affordable, reliable performance. Right now, a well-built N54 or N55 still puts down numbers that rival cars 3 times the price. As factory turbo technology spreads, that $35,000 benchmark gets harder to ignore and harder to match. The real disruptors aren't always exotics. Sometimes they are hiding in plain sight. Share your take below.